Aries, we have got through our final boss fight, through the resurrection, and now we're on to the return to the ordinary world. Or are we? Let's talk about it. We've got the Four of Wands here, and the Six of Pentacles from the last reading, from the Taurus reading, still had more to say. When I'm getting set up for these readings, I have a couple of learner decks that I go back through to look at planetary associations, and my English and Spanish deck have slightly different information. And when I opened up both decks, the Six of Pentacles was at the bottom on both of them, which I thought was really interesting, and they were both in the upright. So it seems like we're going to have some carry through from that reading, I think in the form of overgiving, because now we've secured our rewards. We've secured the elixir, what we needed, what we even embarked on this journey for. So we'll start getting some cards and we'll get into it here. So the Four of Wands, or the Four of Stakes, this is my Buffy the Vampire Slayer deck. And that's the homecoming card. It's also the ceremony of the lovers. A lot of people talk about it as the twin flame card, the 1111. But in this context, I wanted to talk about conformity, as the complex that we might be up against in this final stage. Because the plight of the hero after going through the hero's journey is, well, where do I fit now? Because you might not fit into that ordinary world that you left, potentially even to save. You might need a new place for yourself, a new venture, a new front. Because as I've said many times before, people don't like change, even if it's good change. And there might be some expectation that maybe you were overgiving in the past, dealing with some codependency, something like that. And now that you've achieved your homecoming, essentially, your big victory, now they've got their open hands out, like what we talked about with, who was it? Kelly Clarkson's dad? It's like her estranged father. After she hit it big, he came out of the woodwork and was like, you need to pay for all this, this, and that. I'm like, nope, nope, nope. So you might be dealing with something like that. Page of Chalices, Page of Cups. This looks like the magic box. This is definitely giving me Pisces there. And usually in the cup is a fish, like what's on the poster, but there's a cat in this one. The old switcheroo. So a little bit of deception. Like you were expecting the message in one form, but it's coming in another. That could even be your victory. Like you had it formed in your head how it was going to look one way, but it's actually forming in a different way in the mundane. Which, I mean, how many times has that happened, in your life? Like, there's been so many paths that I was so sure, like, this is the one, this is going to work out. Like, I'm going to go down. Slight interruption there. We've got the Queen of Scythes in reverse. And that's the interruption was my alarm to remind myself to eat breakfast. Because I don't like eating breakfast. I like breakfast food, but I don't like eating breakfast. So I have to remind myself, and it interrupts and stops the recording. And Queen of Scythes in reverse, that is one of my, malignant narcissist or antagonist cards. So trying to interrupt the message. Because that's what the Page of Cups is a messenger. And it's generally a very surprising message, too. Because, I mean, you would be very surprised to find a fish in your cup, or a cat, in this case. And the Queen of Scythes, what is her name? I think this was Giles' girlfriend. But so, very studious, very astute. And she's holding a floppy disk, obviously to save the world. I'm getting kind of a lurky vibe from this. Like, cyber stalking. And of course, these are for confirmation only. This is not new information, hopefully. I don't want anybody to like take that and run with it if you're not already embroiled in a situation that you're aware of, you know what I'm saying? But she's also got this interesting blend too of technology and the arcane, the esoteric, the books and the crystal ball. And then the spear, well, I guess the scythe up there. So somebody maliciously doesn't want you to get a message. The candle's very flicky this morning. Oh, what message? Maybe it's what seals the deal about your victory, about you completing this cycle of the hero's journey. Because these are not necessarily one and done. A hero's journey in your life. Like, you go through these cycles multiple times of strife and challenge and integrating wounds and whatnot. And this Four of Stakes here specifically talks about, like, retreating and getting ready for battle. A moment of, I think it's actually pronounced respite, although I've been reading it in my head as respite. But gathering your tools, getting all your stakes and whatever you need for vampire hunting, and then getting back out there. So maybe this is gearing you up for maybe a fairly immediate launch into another hero's journey cycle. You go back to that ordinary world and just, oh, this is not for me. And off you go. And that conformity might be really tough. We've got the Magician here. But that conformity urge might be really tough to contend with, because there's a lot of memories, that you would be leaving behind, and people and so on and so forth. And a lot of opinions, potentially too, maybe even from this reverse Queen of Scythes. Just about what you're doing and how you're doing it, how you're changing and evolving. This is Willow. And if you saw the show, you saw how she went through significant changes, both as a witch and as a person, like LGBT. And so really big changes. And I just get the feeling that this Queen of Scythes is not having it, whoever that represents in your story. And maybe they want you to go back to this, like, codependent way that you were before, that, like, the hero's journey has helped you overcome. I don't know if you can hear all the chickadees, because I've got the bird sounds in the background, but I've got a little flock that likes to show up in the morning. Let's see. Let's Let's get a little more clarity on what's trying to be stopped for... Because I'm going to take the Magician as you in this reading, and then the Queen of Scythes is your antagonist. Restlessness and discovery. Mercury in Aries and Mercury in Sagittarius. More communication. Message. Really trying to stop this message. What is this message? And how do they know about it? That's what I don't get. It could just be your calling. You know, like you've already answered the call to adventure. Potentially to overcome these obstacles that were like a glass ceiling over you. And now you've actually like emerged from the rubble of your former life and can actually engage in your purpose. And it's a lot easier to hear the call from above the rubble. And another thought I had around the Six of Pentacles, you know, how significant that was showing up. And a lot of stuff coming through. Let's get through this thought. The Six of Pentacles, it could be you giving it as good as you got it in a fashion, you know. Not necessarily advocating for eye for an eye, but if someone was really callous and their actions like resulted in tangible harm to you in your life, you don't owe them this like weird societal expectation of being like the perfect victim, of like behaving accordingly and whatnot. No. Did they? Like, did they behave accordingly? Did they consider you? No. You don't necessarily need to like lay into them, but you also don't need to be nice to them either. But this duality as well, you know, the Six of Pentacles came out in both those decks, the English and the Spanish one. I also just so happened to wear both my snake rings at the same time, which I don't typically do. So that's giving me the caduceus, the Staff of Hermes right here on the restlessness. So a lot of that. And duality, you know, we think about that as often other people deceiving us, whatever, achievement, Sun in Capricorn, but other people deceiving us. It could also be us showing our shadow side. That felt very like Sean Connery. But it could be us displaying that darkness. You know, we got comfortable with it. We made friends with it. Not to just put it in the back seat, you know, but to have those shadow traits in our tool belt to fight back. Because there's a certain, I don't know, it's like adaptability. Like you really become this whole other level of yourself once you've integrated those halves into a whole, so that you can lean on the shadow or the light as prudent. Yeah, kitten. I think you're all dark. You're evil. But very cute. She's not evil. She couldn't be nicer. Huh, kitten. Bugs and spiders notwithstanding. Nature is a beast, huh? But over here on the left, Oh, the achievement. What is the Queen of Scythes trying to achieve? That's what I want to know. Because achievement, Sun in Capricorn, Saturn just stationed direct, like, today. I think it was like in the middle of the night last night that Saturn just went direct. In Pisces? Pretty sure. What is this Queen of Scythes trying to do? Nine of Pentacles. Independence. Ten of Cups. Like ultimate happiness. Trying to do something to these? Because I get the sense that obviously this is what you're going for. Like, why would you not want Nine of Pentacles and Ten of Cups? And I really like, too, that this is just Willow. That it's not, like, having a family is not everybody's greatest happiness. You know, it's not what everyone is striving for. And she's finding family with spirit, with her faith, her practice with witchcraft, with really becoming who she is. Do they have a problem with what you believe in? Do they have a problem with you potentially being LGBT? If that applies to you? Both those things suck. That, I don't like that. Actually, and somebody trying to interfere with your independence too. Like all three across the board, this just sucks. Like, look how cool she looks with her rollerblades. Her little Daisy Dukes. That looks like just a carefree, feeling herself. And then Willow staying in her own lane, practicing her faith, and this Queen of Scythes is trying to stop that? And I totally relate to the religious trauma. You know, I had a caretaker growing up that really said some nasty stuff to me and pushed me back into the broom closet for like 20 years. Glad to be out again. And there was also a real lack of celebration for me being who I am, being bisexual. And tolerance is not, it's like acceptance light. Like, it's not good enough, you know? Yeah, get in. Um, like tolerating your family member or whatnot, like, oh, that's cool, like just kind of humoring them. And like, but we don't really talk about that. Like, that goes into the shadows, you know? That's not actually an environment where you're getting to be who you are. Tolerance is not enough. Tolerance is what you offer people you disagree with. Let's see, what else does it deal with? And this might be where that pressure to conform is coming in. It could come through a variety of ways, like, think of the family name, or whatever, stupidness. It's not polite to talk about that, whatever. You know, it's kind of it's the holiday season right now. And if you've ever been in a situation where, like, you've got that one family member, like, you don't poke the bear because then they're going to make everyone else's life difficult. That's not healthy. That's extreme dysfunction. Like not being able to call someone out and having to walk on eggshells around them. Potentially because, I don't know, they don't accept you for being a witch or being gay or being bi or whatever. We've got Page of Stakes, Page of Wands in reverse. And this, I can't remember her name, but I think it was Rita from Dexter? That actress. I cannot remember that character's name in Buffy. Six of Stakes, Six of Wands, the Victory card, and Four of Pentacles in reverse. Control. Relinquishing control. Page of Stakes feels like a flying monkey to me. That's just the vibe I'm getting from this. Like, Queen of Scythes might know that you've got your guard up against them. And so send in the flying monkey to try and convince this person to not love who they love, not believe who they believe, which gross, disgusting. Don't do things like that. Normally I say live your life, but if that's what you're doing, stop doing that. And Six of Stakes, I mean, this is victory, and normally public victory, but this is a training dummy. So it's like getting ready for this confrontation, for the, like, nope, I have already had this conversation, this is who I am. If you don't like it, you can F off. That's just the deal. It's not, if you don't like it, you can be here and be weird and tolerate me. Like, no, if you don't like it, you can leave. Like, there's a door. I will hold it open for you, and I will lock it and, like, weld it shut on your way out. I'll start using the fire escape. And Four of Pentacles, that's like, in reverse, that's like surrender. Relinquishing control of, I cannot change these people. No matter what articles I send them, what data, and if I actually explain, you know, these passages in the Bible that I actually read and you haven't, and, you know, whatever. Like, it's very clear you haven't read this. And it's funny how subtle these things can be, because a flying monkey is like, it's a well-known concept, but it can make you feel paranoid because not everybody has the same information you do. Like, this information that I talk about, like narcissists and antagonistic personalities and whatnot, this is not like universal information like 1 + 1 = 2. Not everybody knows about this without ever having experienced it, without putting in the cycles to learn about these things. You sound crazy, and it sucks because it's all like social conditioning that you get viewed through this lens of, man, are they paranoid and whatnot? And then sometimes you'll have the antagonist, whoever that is for you, lean into that in the, like, the smear campaign, if you are familiar with those. Like, if you react to someone's abuse, then that someone will recount it later to other people and then add on a little extra flair, like, the stuff they're saying is crazy. I'm not sure if they're okay. I'm so worried about them. And then it starts to construct this narrative of, like, you're the crazy one, even though you're reacting to the way that you've been treated, which conveniently will be left out. My layman advice, very much not a professional. Uh, if someone's displaying that kind of like uber manipulative behavior, that's someone you got to stay away from. Just for your own safety, for your own wellness, uh, and give yourself the time to grieve seeing past the mask. That this person is not who you thought they were. And remember, if someone's trying to manipulate you and you got manipulated, it's not because you're weak. It's not because you're not smart. It's not because of anything like that. They were trying to manipulate you. They're very good at it, and they were just successful. It's not a reflection on your character. Because, I mean, imagine the thought process of employing a flying monkey to, like, well, this person, I know this person doesn't want to talk to me, so I'm going to get somebody else to do it. Like, just the connivingness of that. I'm still not clear, though, like, why this person is so hell-bent on you being held back. This could just be a caretaker, a parent that can't accept that, you know, you've achieved your 9 of Pentacles, you're going your own way. You spread your wings and fly. Extremism. Another Mercury card, Mercury and Scorpio, and it's in reverse. They don't want to look extreme. They don't want to communicate that their views are extreme as they are. Like not being accepting of different faith practices and LGBT and so forth. Because that is extreme. You know, when we talk about those qualities of who we are, those are immutable. And what that means is you cannot extract that from that person. That person was born that way. And so really they're saying they have a problem with who you are. It's not like, oh, we're having a difference of opinions and whatnot. We can disagree on pizza toppings, not people. Not when it comes to treating people with dignity and respect. And like, if you don't like it, just stay away from us. You know, like there's a uncomfortable, you know, like in the workplace or something, like we both have to be here. Like, okay, yeah, like just keep your opinions to yourself and like dislike me after 5, whatever. But you mind yourself. Like, do not bring any of that to my desk. And this might be the attitude that, like, Queen of Scythes is trying to get you to conform to let go of. Because that, like, once you know who you are, and, like, you always did, you know? It was in there. But once it really takes root and starts to blossom and flourish, and you start to build community, you cannot uproot that. The things that don't let those wonderful things about who you are take root are trauma, are these stupid societal expectations. Like, it's not polite to talk about those things. Like, yeah, with the cashier at the grocery store, not with my family. And it's funny, like, growing up, you know, one side of the family, I'd see all this talk about, like, well, God and blah, 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 and murmur. And I'm like, okay, so you've got a crucifix on your wall. I've never seen a single one of yous, like, crack a spine on a Bible or go to church. Like, outside of the occasional, you know, potluck or whatever, but it's that like cultural Christianity that like you clearly have not read this. I don't know, it really bothers me. I was gonna say that that looked like another Mercury card, but it's Venus. Indecision. Venus in Libra. So I feel that on both sides. You have decided you will accept no less than being loved and celebrated for who you are, and good for you. Um, and then on the other side of the table, they've decided they will not accept you, and they're gonna like hold a veil over their true feelings. Bad. Stop that. We can tell where I stand. Uh, and that surrender to your decision, that might hurt a lot. And it's not extreme. It is not extreme to want to be accepted and celebrated for who you are. They might treat it that way. Like, well, why can't you go back to this wounded lamb that you were, that I could just walk all over you? Like, well, because boots don't feel very good, you know? But people don't come out and say stuff like this. I don't know if the, like, the antagonistic personalities, if they have an internal monologue that is like, dude, this is kind of messed up, you know, like if there's that internal doubt of like, hey, I'm going too far, and I suspect that's not there. Oop. Enthusiasm. Sun in Sag, which we are in right now. And acquisition. Sun in Taurus. Huh. I feel like we're dialing in to the motive of the Queen of Scythes. Because this looks like a couple, but like a fancy schmancy, like royal couple. And Taurus, that's Venus energy, like materials, material wealth, comfort, luxury, so forth. So maybe that's where the enthusiasm is coming from. Because maybe you haven't talked to these people in a while. These people. Or this person. But there's a sudden enthusiasm. I don't know, to come back in. Maybe it has to do with some sort of victory. Like there's a celebration or something. You know, it's like what we were talking about in the Taurus reading, that people show up with an open hand. Like, oh, now the work is done. Gimme. Nope. Yes, I will give you whatever you want. All my mortal possessions. Continue. You pawing at me for? Not getting enough attention? No. So on the right here, what is this acquisition? What is being acquired? What is attempting to be acquired by either side? Because I feel like at this stage, you have it. Because you've already been through the resurrection, so you've overcome that battle. Got the elixir. You have the thing that is wanted. Seven of Swords. Deception. And it does feel pertinent, the backstory of taking swords from the warring camp so they don't have them for an upcoming battle. I don't quite know what that is yet. Is it like an upcoming legal battle? There was Libra. Getting under your skin, getting in your head. Prior to that? Because it could be over inheritance, it could be over intellectual property, something like that. Sagittarius, you know. What's this deception about? Because the Four of Wands, Four of Stakes, that can be a house, like referencing that. And I think, what was it? It's Venus in Aries, yeah. So more of that Taurus energy, material. So deception around a material acquisition. Oh, okay. Slid right off. Oh. The High Priestess. I think that's Terra. But in reverse. So Dark High Priestess. The Hierophant. Giles. And the Eight of Cups. Chalices. That looks like Spike. So the High Priestess in reverse, it's that combination with the Seven of Swords that's giving me Dark High Priestess, because that can be either preventing someone from seeing something or being actively deceptive. Candle's flicky. So this is kind of giving me like implied morality. Like how people kind of get trusted just for the position that they're in. Like that's what I'm getting from the Hierophant and the High Priestess. That like mothers get that a lot. Like they get the gold star, perfect, on a pedestal, whatnot. And a lot of abuse gets swept under the rug that way because we don't want to crack that like archetypal societal perception of the mother when truly what she might be acting out is like the devouring mother, the toxic mother, the narcissistic mother. You know, that can be a Queen of Scythes. And Eight of Chalices is leaving. And that's Saturn in Pisces, I'm pretty sure. I feel like this is... It's kind of going back to the Lion King analogy that I was using. You know, Scar, like, chases Simba out, has that implied morality, you know, part of the family, whatever, but truly he's being deceptive for his own gain. So trying to get you out of the picture, like out of the running, the competition for this acquisition, like whatever that is. Candle seems to agree with me. So someone using their authority to, like, kneecap you. About what? Maybe to perpetually keep you in this hero's journey cycle, because they're very arduous. And if you're preoccupied with, like, stress and strife and whatnot, you can't accomplish what you want to in life, and then maybe the Queen of Scythes gets what she wants. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a she. A fairy, maybe. Like she, like Sidhe. It could just be someone with, like, distorted, feminine, intellectual energy in that kind of realm. Like someone who uses their wiles to get their way. I'm just not understanding the connection. Like, how are you and the Queen of Scythes even in competition for this? Like, I don't... No, that's too many. I'm not taking that. I need to know more about this deception. What's the subtext? Health? Sun in Virgo. All of a sudden we're getting a lot of sun cards. So something getting illuminated. All these Egyptian symbols. And that's how I ended up with both my snake rings, because I had my, like, Egyptian jewelry laid out. Pouring water on the crown. And, you know, this is, like, generally a very positive looking card, but what I'm getting is, like, is your crown chakra, that would be like intuition, like where you're getting those random hits from. You know, people talk about the third eye a lot, you know, seeing through illusions, seeing through the veil, but that's that connection. So overwhelming the crown chakra with emotion. Like getting you so emotional that you lose logic? And, oh yeah, trying to get past your defenses. Mars and Taurus. Another Taurus card. It's in reverse. Yeah, getting you so emotional that it drops your defenses. And there's 6 swords here. 6 swords and 1 coin. So trying to get you to abandon an opportunity? This seems really calculated, like right at the end, and I'm wondering if that is why the 6 of Pentacles showed itself in the way that it did, you know, at the bottom of both those decks. To, like, not let your guard down as you get to this stage, the return. Because by this point in the hero's journey, you're beat up. Like you're tore up, you've had it, tired, you need that rest. So Queen of Scythes might be looking at that as like a weak point, you know. Can't defend yourself as well. Seems like this Queen of Scythes, whoever it is, yep, really has it out for you. Assertion, Sun in Aries. I feel like that's what you're trying to stop. You're trying to stop them asserting their will over your life. Because I am kind of getting like a parent and adult child vibe. It doesn't necessarily have to be that, but just of a like absolutely overstepping your position or their position, what have you. That they have an idea for your life and how it's supposed to go, and it doesn't include witchcraft and gay bars, whatever. That is so not their place. It is so not their place to be like, are you sure? Yeah. What kind of question is that? You know, and like, where were you when I was doing this work, you know, this internal work to return to who I've always been? And if the answer to that is you were blocked, like, take the hint, maybe. Just saying. But, let's see. I still feel like I want to know more about this Queen of Scythes. Like, what is their deal? What is the deal with the Queen of Scythes? Like, what's their problem? Why are they so up in your business? And why do they think controlling you is an okay thing to do? Like, that's the wacky part to me. Like, say what you will about me being a witch and doing witchcraft and whatnot, but you're trying to control people. I don't do that. Like, the trying to control people, that's crazy to me. Two of Cups in reverse. Ace of Stakes. It's also giving me Ace of Spades. Motorhead. Queen of Chalices. Queen of Cups. And this is Buffy and Faith. And I don't remember like why there was two Slayers at the same time, because they're not supposed to be. But it's like trying to stop you connecting with your kind. You know, maybe you've been in this repressed state for a really long time and you haven't been able to build community with, you know, people who are like really like the authentic self. And this Queen of Scythes is trying to impede on that. And Ace of Wands, Ace of Stakes. I mean, that's like a passionate new beginning. Ideas, creativity. It also gives me Kenaz, the rune, the creative fire. And Queen of Chalices typically has a lid on her cup here, which I think came up in the Taurus reading too. That Queen of Cups also didn't have a lid on her emotions. So not wanting you to get into touch with your true emotions. And I just have this gnawing feeling to look up the lyrics of Ace of Spades. And this feels like kind of a bummer way to end this hero's journey cycle, because it feels very like, man, can you just F off? Can I just like live my life for how hard I've worked for these rewards and for this journey and whatnot? And it's just like every step of the way someone is like, no, you shouldn't get what you've earned because I don't want you to have that. Like, why not, you lunatic? If you like to gamble, I tell you I'm your man. You win some, lose some, it's all the same to me. The pleasure is to play, makes no difference what you say. I don't share your greed. The only car I need is the Ace of Spades. The Ace of Spades. Duality. Playing for the high one, dancing with the devil, going with the flow, it's all a game to me. Oh, this isn't very long. 7 or 11, snake eyes watching you, double up or quit, double stake or split. The Ace of Spades, the Ace of Spades. You know I'm born to lose, and gambling's for fools, but that's the way I like it. I don't want to live forever. I don't want to forget the Joker. Pushing up the ante, I know you've got to see me, read 'em and weep, the dead man's hand again. I see it in your eyes, take one look and die. The only thing you see, you know it's going to be the Ace of Spades. The Ace of Spades. I don't think I've ever looked up these lyrics. Is this like this person's last chance to stop you from progressing onto your next cycle of the hero's journey? Maybe. Because I feel like you've done a lot of personal development here. And if they cannot get you to conform, you know, this Six of Pentacles kind of trying to drag the past forward. Then it feels like you're just off on your own way. Like, that's it. They can't stop you anymore. And F them. Like, come on. Somebody trying to control your life like that? You don't need somebody like that in your life. Like, make your own choices, but for real. It's really hard to reckon with that the once in a lifetime relationships, like parents, certain family members, what have you, they aren't who you thought they were. Or they've got a lot of unhealed stuff that they may not work through. It hurts. It really, really doesn't feel good. And it doesn't mean that you weren't worth the trouble, that you weren't worth the effort. It's just you gotta find the right ordinary world for you. And we're not always born into the families we belong in. You know, people are immensely complicated. And the chances that we would be compatible with our family, like on a personal level, I don't know what they are, but they're not as high as people seem to believe they are. But it's interesting to me, like stopping the union. And I mean, Two of Cups, and this one also typically has the caduceus on it. Yeah, it's kitten. I don't see it there. Like there's a lion up top with the wings. But often refers to partnerships and so forth. It can refer to you aligning with your path, aligning with your authentic self, your higher self. Flirtation in reverse. Venus in Sag. So yeah, a more of a path unity than a person unity, because, Kanaz, that creative fire. New projects, new creative ideas, lighting the way. Maybe from an emotional place, We talked about being in a repressed place for a really long time. Maybe you are really getting in tune with your emotions, and that's opened up a lot of creativity for you. And this Queen of Scythes could just be threatened by that. This could be an ego thing of, well, I couldn't do it. How could they possibly? Let's make sure they don't. That weird competitiveness of like, man, just let people live their life. Drama. Yeah. So dramatic. Another Mercury card. A lot of Mercury and Venus. Mercury and Leo. And romance. Venus and Taurus. That looks like kind of a whirlwind romance. I wonder, someone trying to start drama via romance or about romance or whatnot, because we talked about the flying monkey, and some people do like go down a really disgusting path of like trying to mess with somebody else's love life by pretending to be interested in them. I think that was part of the plot of Carrie. Like it was a bet, is how they got her to prom or whatever. But that high school stuff, not even high school, like middle school stuff, does carry through like into adulthood, even potentially into the workplace with emotionally immature adults. And that is very likely like in a modern day hero's journey and more of an everyday grounded kind of way. Your your antagonist is likely to be like an emotionally immature individual. And there's also the flip side too, like you are the antagonist to an emotionally immature person as well. So, we've got the fortune cookie cards here. Something to keep in our pocket as we walk forward, because this was a lot to confront. I'm still kind of stuck on this though. The drama with the romance. Is romance, lust, whatever, a particular vice of yours, a weak point that maybe that's a way to try and get you to conform back to your old self, is get you like entrenched in some sort of drama, which, I mean, if you've really got someone that has it out to you, out for you to this degree, this even sounds like restraining order territory. Like if someone's just tormenting you like this, trying to take you off your path to some sort of acquisition of material wealth, and this is their last hope to mess you over. And yeah, it just sounds like if this is ringing true in any kind of way, I don't know, I might just want to move if that's possible, you know. I know, like, myself and others say stuff like that. Like, obviously, there's the logistics of finances and jobs and so forth. But, yeah, strong consideration to separating yourself from someone like this. We've got manifestations and planning for our fortunes. So, manifestations. A bountiful time awaits you. Your wishes could manifest right before your eyes, which I would keep to yourself. That's just the sense that I'm getting. Keep it away from this Queen of Scythes, at least until you are safely away from them. Like, if you do have to move or something like that. Planning. Now is the time to lay down the foundations for your future. Financial gains are more than likely. If there's that material gain, the acquisition. And this cycle of the hero's journey that we've just completed, that's the foundation for the next stage. So like the bottom rung of your tower, you know, that building a house over the course of a year instead of a few months, whatever. You took that time to, okay, where are the damaged bricks? Where has the mortar not set correctly? Redo it, and like painstakingly slow progress. But you got here. And it's no small feat. So a lot to think about. And a lot to, sounds like, to fend off in this last stage, unfortunately, because this is like, man, I just want to be done. And that might be the strategery. You know, we know you're broken down, so this is a time to get ya. But we'll get song and activity, whatever comes out here, and then there's going to be one more reading to fully wrap up the Minor Arcana series. I want to do something a little bit different for that. Walk in the park. That's a good one. Treat yourself. Another good one. I think good advice all around. And Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. So a good song, a good album to listen to while you walk in the park, you know, whatever. And treat yourself. I know today is Black Friday, and my own little plug of there are boycotts going on for some of the big box stores. So if you can wait to treat yourself until the 3rd, you know, for that economic impact that we're trying to see, to just indicate that we've had enough, you know, take back the power, what have you. I'm curious to see with the success of previous boycotts that how that's going to turn out. You know, I've been seeing the charts for like Spotify and whatnot, like those go down, you know, after running ads for ice. And that is certainly, I think, the only way for us to truly convey that we've had it and we want to see a better world, and we have the power to make that happen. So, trust yourself. You've made it through a lot. You've got somebody nipping at your heels for something you have, something you want, and I think you're going to be all right. But overall, I hope this helps. I hope this resonates, and if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.